Hey guys, I'm Boot. We're in New Jersey, and today we are going to be dispelling the 600-pound lies that have been spread all over the internet, all over television, all over wherever you get your network news. Today we are here with my buddy Kyle from Connecticut, On the Brain, and so many others. Kyle, tell them where they can find you at.
And you can find me and my content that I help produce pretty much everywhere, anywhere you get your podcast fix. I am also a part of a great podcast group called Who They Want Entertainment LLC. We live stream on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and a few other places on a nightly basis. A great time for great content, great subjects, and we do what other podcasts don't. That's the tagline. As far as On the Brain, if you want to get your nerd on, that's basically where you got to go. On the Brain, ENT, on every podcast platform. If you really want to, slow down a little bit and talk a little bit more heavy topics such as mental health and disabilities and what that entails, then you got to check out A for Able, also everywhere on every podcast platform, wherever you get your podcast fix.
Right on. And also with us today, we have Allie, my wife, and the sister of Gina. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about what you wanted to say today.
My name is Allie. You can find me on Allie S at YouTube and Allie_Sams on TikTok.
So today, if you guys have followed up to this point, we are, again, doing it with no commercials. So the timestamps will be with no commercials, just so you know.
It's so hard. It's so hard to watch that. It's so hard to hear her even think for 1 second that I would be disappointed in her. No.
Yeah. But you know that was the work of whoever wrote
I know.
her
It doesn't
voiceover.
matter that I know that it was.
The damaging part is that this is out there for the world. You know what I mean? And this is what the world took from it.
Yep.
The nonsense in the voiceover.
It's just not really it's not fair. And hearing her get emotional. She was my best friend. We were each other's person. I'm never ever gonna hear her talk again like that. That's really hard. It's really hard. This makes it so much harder because she's not here anymore. And that is just, it wasn't about her weight. All of it was her anxiety and her panic. Like, I don't know how many times it has to be said.
Yeah.
She couldn't not do it because of her weight. I don't know. It's just really hard. It was hearing her react when she's doing the voiceover. It just reminds me again on how bad she felt, how many messages were sent to us during that time that things were wrong and things were not how they were, and how she was scared how we were going to feel because of how they all portrayed us to be. And so, oh God, it sucks.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know what else to say.
I love that they transitioned suddenly as Gina walks into the house. All the stuff is in the house already, because that was not the case. It was like 4 hours of moving stuff in the 90-degree heat.
I was moving stuff too.
Oh, I know you are. But we had to move all that stuff into the house. It was 4 hours later in 90-degree heat, and they all just stood around and watched us, which was awful.
Wait, hold on. How many people in the crew?
It varied. There was always at least one camera person, one sound person, and a producer.
Yeah.
Okay.
But some of the times it was 2 cameramen, a PA, a sound guy, and a producer.
Okay. So you're telling me that sound guy, I get. Camera, I get, because it's constantly got to be rolling.
Right.
You know? Like one of my teachers in school would tell me, always film more than what you need. So that's why the cameras were constantly in your face.
Right.
But as far as like one of the producers, who mainly, from what I understand, was like holding papers and a clipboard and stuff, right? So why couldn't they at least help pick up a couple boxes here and there?
Right. You'd think maybe somebody, or they bring somebody to like help, carry stuff. But in the end, I ended up putting out my shoulder and my elbow.
Yeah, it's a huge move. I mean,
also what they didn't show was when we first got there was a whole debacle with their apartment.
Oh, yeah.
They gave her the wrong apartment because in this place you can I guess, select if you want like a first, second. I think it was only 2 floors or 3. I don't remember. But then after that whole debacle was taken, we had to then wait for a new producer, new camera crews to come, because the people that came with us from New Jersey, those cameramen had to leave because one of the producers,
didn't they?
Yeah, they had to be relieved because one of the producers that was with us on the road trip to Texas had to leave mid-trip because due to them, it was taking us so long to get there.
Right.
And
meanwhile, that day we hadn't eaten anything at all.
No,
we were all starving.
Yeah, and that was so literally we had to wait for a new team to show up. They were late. Right. Before we could even go and drive into where they moved to start unloading. And by then it was like 6 o'clock at night. We didn't get done till like 10. They didn't wrap till like 11:30. Yeah. And then didn't me, you, and Beth go to Walmart at like 1 a.m. to find an air mattress because they had no bed?
Yep. And the other thing that I wanted to point out in this is that, here you go, Princess. That was more of the dynamic we saw between Beth and Gina. That was more like of the realistic dynamic that was there, and not to point fingers about it, but like really, that was kind of the way it was. You know what I mean?
That was the most authentic interaction they've had this entire episode so far.
Right. Exactly.
Which I can understand. Beth was exhausted. She was moving shit. That was really heavy. We were all exhausted. And, it made it look like Gina was just sitting there, lounging out, watching us like, you go get this, fetch me this. Blah. Which in reality, that wasn't the case. She was sitting in there while we were moving, but yet my mom had to keep the dog in a room. Right. Because their dog would run out. Because God knows where he would have ran to. It was like a crazy section of where they lived.
Yeah.
It was just, it was just ridiculous.
It was a lot, man. It was some stuff. It really was. It was some real BS.
And I mean, it's just, for example, I know they film a lot of footage, right? Like you said, Kyle, to have as much as they possibly needed.
Right.
But it seems like all the important things that they did catch on camera, because there was a lot, didn't even put in the show. Because we were telling the truth. We were under the impression to get the help that Gina needed to be a part of this, we needed to be the most authentic.
Right.
And I remember, I don't know if you do, babe, but the first camera guy that she met when she first started filming, he literally sat down and said to Gina and said, the way you are, how authentic and truthful you are, will determine your journey, through this show.
Right.
And he was so sincere.
Yeah, he really was.
So she thought, okay, if I do it, and I remember when they interviewed her for her big interview in the beginning, I remember the one producer saying like, oh my God, like she's really struggling to open up. That's because we were always told we couldn't share how we felt. We were deemed that we lied about stuff, that what we went through wasn't valid. So she didn't know how to open up like that, and she tried to do as best she could.
Well, you're talking about your family life.
I'm talking about in anything.
Right, you're talking about your family life like before this. You were
Yeah.
taught to not say anything and all that.
Right. In regards to though, like,
That's where that hesitation comes from.
Right, of course.
She was fighting every step of the way because she had already must have felt red flags from the beginning. And we were under the impression she was going to get help genuinely in all aspects.
Yeah.
And that just wasn't the case. So
sadly.
It's very ironic how they would tell you to be your authentic self, but yet they're the ones that make this narrative up. Like they're not asking for your opinions on how certain things should be, certain things should be cut. They're not asking how you're doing through this process, as they're making this story with only bits and very small pieces of the truth in there.
Honestly, I feel like we were Marvel actors. I feel like we were underpaid Marvel actors because we didn't find out what was happening until after the fact. Everything we did was staged, and then they put this fake narrative to everything that we did in our most authentic selves, being our most authentic selves, but then hiding that by editing it the way they wanted it.
Right, exactly, except we weren't paid.
Right, exactly.
Like, I wasn't a paid actor.
Right, exactly. And
like, I did not get no coin from this, okay? Like, I did not get paid. And I don't want to get paid. That's not even in my purview. That has nothing to do with anything. It's just they make you feel comfortable. They don't talk to you. They don't tell you how to act or what to expect. The entire time they were telling my sister that she was their favorite, or that they want her to have her own show. And these are producers, camera crews, and let me tell you, I have as many messages as I can find on her phone. And it's just like, what? Like, so she genuinely believed that they had her best interest at heart, which is why I think ultimately at the end of the day is why she decided to continue to go on with this. It's infuriating. Like, maybe they should have like people that everyone can talk to that work in like the TV biz.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, like, this is what to expect realistically.
Right.
And, don't be surprised if it goes a different way, and don't feel this way, don't feel that way. And it's like,
had we had been explained that to, I don't think we would have been so bitter about it, but we still would have received all the hate from the trolls. Like all the people on the internet who came for blood.
It's
not
we
still would have received all that hate.
It's not about being bitter.
Right.
It's not about being bitter. It's about being duped. We were duped.
Yeah.
We had like what we filmed versus what was aired was two completely different stories.
Yep, absolutely.
And so
100%. 150%.
I'm not telling trolls or people that are keyboard warriors online that they need to like me or my sister. But
know the truth before you talk.
You don't know anything. You watched a TV show and you think you know my sister better than me. No, you don't. You just don't. So I just don't understand. I'll never get it. It'll never make sense to me.
Okay, so 614 is what the scale said, and we know that's BS because she said, I worked really hard to lose weight, which she did. She was very excited about the diet when she came home. They made her shoot that one scene where she was ragging on your mom for not eating right or whatever while she was trying to eat right, which was BS. We already established that. this 8-pound gain, watching her get out of the front seat, you can see her skin hanging out of her shirt. And she had to fix her shirt so that you couldn't see that skin. At the time, they said 614. I'm telling you, you move to Texas and go from a 60-degree climate to a 90 to 120 degree climate, you're going to drop weight. You know what I mean? Just in being there. I know I lost weight when I'm just taking the trip, but the whole thing that comes up in the next scene is that she said, in this scene, she said she worked hard to lose the weight. Then when the doctor comes in and everything, basically dispels everything she said by saying that, oh, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. But we know that she was under 600 pounds.
The thing of it is I remember her having this appointment that day. We were back home.
Yeah.
And, she was doing the best she could following the diet and making progress. And then they moved and stuff and everything. And she was like, if anything, like, I'm going to own up to any mistakes I make. And the reason they make her sound stupid is because in the voiceover, they make her say something like how she was saying how she was going to, how she worked really hard and all this. And then, like Keith said, meeting with the doctor and completely owning up to things. And so if that was true, if she did gain the weight, and I don't remember what it was, if it was true or not, because technically I really could care less that in a month she only gained 8 pounds. Because to me, that happens, okay? But the next scene is the most cringiest thing I've ever heard from a medical professional.
Yeah, if I saw this from my doctor, they wouldn't be my doctor anymore.
I'd run the other way
if
I heard what happens next and it was my doctor. Because if I say to my doctor, I didn't lose weight, I gained weight because I made mistakes and I'm owning that mistake.
Right.
Why is that a bad thing? I'm admitting that I did something wrong.
Right.
Okay, like, but the way it goes down, I don't have many notes, but it's very, very cringy for me to watch.
Well, let's check that out now, and then we'll come back and talk about it. So basically, the doctor is claiming that she's having delusions, and that Beth is helping her create a delusion that she's living in, and says that they need psychotherapy. Well, they weren't offered a psychotherapist. They were offered a, psychologist or some kind of family counselor or something. But it wasn't even close.
I truthfully do not know if they were offered anything or they had to go see this person because he said it. If they wanted to continue with this woman, they had to pay. So the first one was complimentary, but...
And of course, that insurance, I'm sure, wouldn't cover it at all. Even though it's funny that, you and I have found our therapy and we have therapists and psychologists with our insurance. You know what I mean?
I think
funny how you can do that.
I just think the biggest issue here really lies with
mental health not being taken seriously.
No.
At all.
Well, besides that, she said that was filmed, and she said what she said in that section of filming.
Right? Didn't she tell you the doctor said something else to her outside of that, off camera?
He apologized to her by how they're making her being portrayed.
Yeah.
He felt bad. But you know what?
Well, for
Bad.
a doctor who feels bad and has the scruples to feel bad, he sure doesn't care about not getting paid for this whole thing.
But the thing is you feel bad, yet you're still a part of the problem.
Right, exactly.
But then with the voiceover, they make her say something completely different.
Right.
So it looks like when that scene is being shown, she looks like she's stupid and doesn't know what she's saying.
And the
she
worst
looks
part
like
is
she's making up a story.
Right, exactly. And the worst part is that, you know, God knows how many shoots they had to shoot that in that whole interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And so of course they cut it together, and you can hear her change of tone and voice when she's reading the narration. But also you can hear the change in her tone of voice while she's talking and what she's saying, and you can tell that it's inauthentic. What he's saying, what she's saying. Of course, there is some truth in the lie that he is coming out of his mouth, but you know, it's like, in this day and age, I'm sorry, but you don't fix things by being a jerk. You don't fix things by being mean to people, and that is not an appropriate bedside manner.
Right, exactly. And he even stated in this part that Beth was her primary enabler.
Right.
And also, they were enabling each other.
Yes.
And supposedly all these people, all these trolls love him.
Right.
Hear their beloved say this, and still not one person agreed that Beth was an enabler.
Right.
And the thing of it is that, like, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's her enabler, what's this, what's that. Like you said, Keith, it is 100% terrible bedside manner. And if I went to my medical doctor and was treated this way, they would not be my doctor anymore.
Right. I mean, there is such a thing as medical anxiety, and people need to realize that people that have medical anxiety, doctors need to realize that people have medical anxiety. And when they do, they now have that starting to be put in place where they will treat a patient differently depending on the situation, which is how medicine works. Not everybody is the same.
But also at the same time, like, I'm not saying you have to coddle the person either. Right. I'm not saying you have to be nice. I'm not saying you have to be this person that's like, oh, you know, it's okay. Like, no, I'm saying you have to at least be respectful. You have to at least be conscious of what that patient needs. Because if you're just gonna talk like the way he was talking and it's not gonna help the person in need if that's the way they don't receive messages that way. They don't receive what they're being told. It's going to a place of, oh, I'm in trouble, I'm bad, I did something bad, and I'm getting yelled at, and like you shrink down to a tiny person. How is that going to help a situation? Was that going to get her to lose the weight that's required? By the way, 50 pounds in 2 months is impossible.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous amount of weight to lose in 2 months.
Unless you're a man who's very heavy, it is impossible.
And if this was the way it would, like if this was all real in the first place, if this was all real, I'm sorry, but it took me like a year to get my surgery. I had to lose like 100 pounds in like, 8 months or something like that? And the change in my body, the changes in my physiology have not even caught up yet 6 years after my surgery. You know what I mean? That is unhealthy.
Is exactly. And you know, it's just, you're not helping the person. A person is coming to you who can't get the help they need in the state that they live in, is literally coming to you because you're supposed to be the best of the best. And you think by telling someone they're delusional And all of that is going to get them to be like, yes, you're right. I'm delusional. I woke up and I was fat. Okay.
Yeah,
She's
exactly.
literally saying, I made a mistake. And then also, she was told she had to move that soon to Texas.
Right. She didn't just do it on a whim.
She didn't do it on her own.
Because we weren't even ready to take her at that point.
Exactly, because she was supposed to actually go before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And nobody was ready. We were on our almost coming back from our honeymoon.
Right.
No one was ready to drop what they had going on, our jobs, to go take her to Houston.
Right.
And so she had gotten to 2 week later. She had to be in Texas by the second week of December.
Yeah.
And I only know that because we celebrated our 1 month married while we were in Texas.
Yeah.
She wasn't even given a full 2 months anyway.
Right.
So,
I mean, basically within it was probably like exactly like a month and a week.
Oh my God. And I can hear the people now. Oh, but I lost 50 pounds in 2 months. You know what? Good for you.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not everybody's reality. That's not everybody's truth. And it doesn't matter how they are acting, what they're eating, what they're doing. Everybody's body is different.
Right.
And it takes each person a different amount of time to lose weight. So.
Yeah. Also, let's keep in mind, as we established, I believe it was last episode or the one before, the original number was fabricated.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Which means
The
that
secondary number is fabricated as well.
Right. So she might have already lost a not that 50 pound. No. But she was.
It was
Gina
visible.
moved. Gina moved. Her program involved a lot of dancing.
Here we are. Oh, wow, you guys are switched for some reason. Gina needed her own therapy, I feel like. They put them, together and said they needed therapy, and this visit was a complete and utter, totally staged lie. Just lie fest.
We're not there yet anyway, so we can't even really.
Well, I mean, after the doctor and everything, and then, her saying that, they're going to therapy or they're going to go to therapy, and, that would have been good, like I said, if they had actually given Gina the therapy she needed, and instead didn't focus on her weight and focused on her mental health, because that, in the long run, would have been much better.
I feel like I'm going to need to get Beth to confirm, but I'm pretty sure their entire session, the therapist told Gina she had PTSD and agoraphobia.
Right.
But they
didn't catch that on camera, though.
They only chose to air the part where the therapist said that Beth needs Beth time.
Right.
So, but we're not at that point in the show yet. So I don't know if that's the next scene, because we do this on a very
weekly schedule.
Weekly basis. I don't like to watch it as often as I have to.
Right.
Because it's so difficult. But, just hearing Gina say her life depends on it.
Yeah.
It makes me want to physically throw up everywhere.
Yeah.
Because she did not believe that she was worth so much. And she only got positive reinforcements when she was eating once a day and losing weight. Yeah, she got plenty of hate from this show and after that, and it got to a point where she didn't watch it or see it, but she made a choice to go back in the social media world, and people were seeing her drop the weight in real time.
Yeah.
And she lost it so quickly. And now she's gone.
Yep.
And so people don't realize how words affect people.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be told all the time, "Oh, it's just words. It's just words. Don't listen to it. Don't listen to it."
Easier said
But
than done.
it's when you're told to go kill yourself or told to stop eating, do more dancing, or basically that you shouldn't exist in your body because you are a heavy person,
Yes.
by people that don't know you, or they think they know you because they watched a reality television show. I think the biggest thing that I want to come out of this is that if there's anyone watching this that is struggling with their weight or struggling with mental health, there is help, genuine help. And please confide in somebody that you trust. Please don't give up. And please try very hard to advocate for yourself, your physical health, your mental health, because it's a crap show out there. I know it is, and I know it's really hard, but you are worth it. And your life is worth it. You deserve to exist.
Very well said.
And
Kyle, did you have any thoughts you wanted to share?
I feel like there hasn't been anything I haven't said in this particular episode, but honestly, I know that this has been a particular emotional journey for the three of you here that counting J Mom. I know that this is a particular emotional journey for y'all. I honestly didn't think it was going to be that much of an emotional journey for me, given me and Gina's history. However, I've been catching myself in tears because my friend's no longer here, and they were
in the prime of their life.
Yeah, exactly. Like you got people over here dying of COVID, freaking early in life or in the prime of their lives. She died of depression, and trying to explain that to people is like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
Because some may understand that, especially now that we're actually having the conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Having the conversation about mental health, having the conversation about how it can affect your overall well-being. But growing up, I don't think any of us have had that. There are literally 3 generations on this call right now, and I don't think anybody had those kind of conversations growing up.
No, because no one really knew what any of it was. Nobody, anything with mental health was such a stigma. People thought it wasn't, not that it wasn't a real thing, but I think
they thought it would be something you could just brush off.
Yeah. I think they thought it was very attention seeking.
It was, yeah. And if you were, it was like, and like, imagine if, and I'm just gonna, and I don't want to turn this into a whole like sexist thing, but imagine if Gina was a dude. Okay. Imagine if she was a guy. The most that she would probably get is suck it up. Mm-hmm. Suck it up. You're the man. You're supposed to be the strong one. Yada yada yada. That misogynistic BS. But the fact that this show only acted like it was her weight that was keeping her down, when really her weight was only secondary to everything. It was everything else. It wasn't like it wasn't an issue, but right. It was never the issue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what that's what I mean. If she was if she was a dude, of course she would get dragged through the mud. But because she's she's female and she was big, of course there's still that huge there's still that huge stigma about weight, period, you know? But it ain't even about that. It was never really about that with her. Her weight was only one piece of the puzzle.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, and sometimes I go on a whim when I shouldn't, and I read comments that are left on something related to this show, and I see a lot of the comments are always the same thing. Like, they probably, oh my God, they're on the government. They always had some issue. They blame all their stuff on their life. Like, all this crap. Of course they've got a man. I don't got a man. How do they have a man? Like, how are they in a relationship? Like, they're always in a relationship. Or I'm eating a lettuce leaf because this show keeps me motivated for my health. If this show is what motivates you to keep yourself healthy, I feel very sorry for you, and you need to seek help immediately.
Yeah, really.
Because this is not how every single person that is obese, morbidly obese, overweight is.
No, not at all.
I can't speak on other cast members. I've said that already, and I will not, because I stand with the ones that are fighting, and I stand with the ones that have had trouble as well. My heart is with them. My heart is with all the ones that have passed away and their families.
Yes.
But I can only share Gina's story. I can only share her experience. And I just think that if you're viewing this show and it's motivating you to work out, you've got some issues. You've got some issues you might want to get help for, because belittling people and dehumanizing humans because they're a different size than you is absolutely disgusting. And it is, quite frankly, it's disgusting. There's really no other word to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You don't know these people. You're watching a show that is edited for your entertainment.
Yep.
You don't know their real stories. You just don't. It takes the most basic stereotype of a fat person and just makes it to the extreme. All they do is sit around and eat. All they do is have bad hygiene. Oh, they're on government assistance. Oh, they can't walk. Oh, they can't breathe. Oh, they have a bad childhood. Like, everything is beyond that.
Right.
It's beyond that. And yeah, does my sister have trauma and a bad childhood and a bad life she did.
Yeah.
We experienced it together. But you don't know that. You don't get that. You think that she just threw her life away to food. And then when she died, y'all were saying she deserved to die. You're disgusting. You are terrible people. Absolutely terrible.
Well, I think that's pretty much a good place to stop for now. Anyways, thank you guys for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you for joining us for this episode as well. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye.